There are bands that make history, and then there are bands that electrify it. AC/DC belongs to the latter. With their raw, thunderous sound and no-nonsense attitude, they redefined hard rock and turned every stage into an explosion of power. This episode is a tribute to the band that made rock high voltage and proved that passion can outlive even tragedy. The story of AC/DC begins in 1973 in Sydney, Australia, when Scottish-born brothers Malcolm and Angus Young decided to form a band with a clear purpose: loud, fast, and straight to the gut. The name AC/DC, inspired by a label on a sewing machine, stood for alternating current/direct current, pure electricity. It couldn't have been more fitting. From the start, their image was as iconic as their sound. Angus, the younger of the two, adopted the schoolboy uniform as his trademark stage outfit. He ran across stages, duck-walked like Chuck Berry, and unleashed riffs that drilled into the listener's memory. AC/DC wasn't about gimmicks, it was about raw energy. Their first major impact came with Bon Scott as the lead singer. His gritty voice, rebellious attitude, and wild charisma perfectly matched the band's firepower. Albums like High Voltage, Let There Be Rock, and Highway to Hell established AC/DC as one of the most incendiary rock bands of the 70s. Highway to Hell became an anthem, not glorifying destruction, but celebrating life lived on the edge. Then tragedy struck in 1980. Bon Scott was found dead in a parked car after a night of heavy drinking. He was 33. For many, this was the end. How could the band go on without such a defining voice? But AC/DC chose not to unplug. With the blessing of Scott's family, they brought in a new voice, Brian Johnson, a British singer with pipes of steel. And then came Back in Black. Recorded in the Bahamas under stormy weather and heavy hearts, the album became a rock juggernaut. From the ominous bells of Hell's Bells to the legendary riff of Back in Black, the record was both a tribute and a rebirth. It sold over 50 million copies worldwide, becoming one of the best-selling albums in history. It wasn't just a memorial, it was a resurrection. Throughout the 80s and 90s, AC/DC stuck to their guns. While other bands chased trends, glam, grunge, pop, AC/DC stayed true to their sound. Albums like For Those About to Rock, We Salute You, The Razor's Edge, and Ball Breaker kept their fire burning. But time brings battles. Malcolm Young was diagnosed with dementia and stepped down. In 2014, he passed away, leaving a massive hole in the band's soul. Drummer Phil Rudd faced legal issues. Brian Johnson had to leave the stage temporarily due to hearing loss. It looked like the final curtain. And yet, they roared back. In 2020, amid a global pandemic, AC/DC released Power Up. Dedicated to Malcolm, the album wasn't just a nod to the past. It was a reminder that the current still flows. With Johnson back on vocals, Rudd on drums, and Cliff Williams on bass, Angus Young led the charge once again. Fans around the world celebrated the return of their heroes. So what makes AC/DC so special? Perhaps their consistency. They never chased trends, they never diluted their sound. Their rock is primal, tribal, an electric ritual. At their shows, you'll find teenagers, parents, and grandparents, all fists in the air, united by the thunder of Thunderstruck and You Shook Me All Night Long. A C/DC doesn't need reinvention. They don't need flashy visuals or cryptic lyrics. Just a stage, a guitar, and a drum beat that hits like a cannon blast. In every note, every riff, there's the promise of an unforgettable night. While others fade, AC/DC endures. Because they understand something essential. Rock isn't just a genre, it's a force, a surge, a roar, and no one channels it better than them.